I want you to picture this. You just got off the phone with your recruiter. You have landed your dream travel nurse assignment. You pack your bags. You do your drug screening. You do all of your skills assessments. You pass every test. You're ready to go, and then you get a call. Your contract has been canceled. Unfortunately, this is something that happens in the world of travel nursing. So, today we're going to discuss what you're going to do about it, how to prepare for something like this, and why you shouldn't take it personally if your travel nurse assignment gets canceled. Hi, nursing friends. I'm Kylie from Passports and Preemies, and I have spent almost 10 years as a NICU nurse, and 7 of those years navigating this crazy world of travel nursing. And I am here to share everything with you about travel nursing, travel, how to spend time away from the bedside, and so on. So make sure to subscribe if you are a nurse and you're interested in any of these topics. And as always, please leave me a comment if there's anything specific that you want to see. Why do travel nurse contracts get canceled? Well, unfortunately, this is probably more common than you would think. So, one reason a contract can get canceled is that the hospital simply does not have the budget to afford travel nurses anymore. Another reason might be because patient census goes down, which is actually quite common. If census is down, why would they need more nurses to help out? And a third common reason would be just credentialing issues. Maybe there was a delay in your paperwork or your drug screen, and that might be totally out of your control. But again, it's just something that happens. If this has happened to you, don't panic. I've got you covered. What do you do if you are canceled before your contract even starts? Step one, ask for an explanation. Your recruiter should be able to provide you written proof or an explanation as to why your contract was canceled. Two, check your contract for a cancellation clause. Sometimes companies can build this into your contract, or you can negotiate this for this to be in your contract. If you were to get canceled and it was for something out of your control, maybe that company can provide you a little bit of monetary support while you're finding a new contract. Three, you're going to want to call every recruiter that you are working with and let them know that you are in need of a job ASAP. I always recommend travel nurses to work with about 2 to 3 recruiters. And if that's something you guys are interested in knowing about more and why I recommend that, let me know and I will do a separate video on that. But basically, you should have like your one main recruiter and then 1 or 2 like side chicks to just maximize your efforts in finding a travel nurse assignment. And then number 4, if you're really in a pinch and you are in dire need of money, you can always consider a per diem job or like a quick, sometimes there's like a 3-week contract. I did talk about strike nursing in my previous YouTube video. That could be something that you could consider. So just really trying to find a way that you can get a job fast. And then you're always going to want to consider, your housing. If you've already paid for your housing up front and your contract gets canceled, you're going to need to call your landlord, let them know. Before I even pay my housing, I always tell the landlord, contract cancellation is something that can happen to travel nurses. It can happen out of the blue. It can be something that's out of my control. If this were to happen to me, what is your stance on reimbursement? I like to ask that question because it can be really scary to pay quite a bit of money upfront for housing. And I always want to make sure that I am covered and supported if something were to happen to me. So you're going to want to call your landlord and just explain the situation and see if there's any way that they can help you out. If your contract gets canceled while you're already working, this is what I'm going to want you to do. And this has happened to me. I was canceled for my travel nurse assignment in Seattle during COVID, and I was canceled about 2 weeks before my assignment ended. So it was not terrible. And keep in mind, I did this for 7 years and I was only canceled once. So cancellation can be common, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you, certainly. So if you are canceled during your assignment, number 1, make sure that you are paid out correctly for all the hours that you did work. 2, Try to negotiate a cancellation bonus. So, again, this is something that you can build into your travel nurse contract when you're negotiating, and something you're going to want to do before you sign that contract, right? So, ask your recruiter, if I am canceled for something out of my control while I'm already on assignment, can I build in, $1,000 bonus just to cover myself? Three, you're going to want to call all your recruiters again, let them know that you were canceled from your assignment and that you are looking for a job ASAP. It would be extra nice if you could get a job in the city that you're already living in, but of course, you might need to be flexible at this time. And then again, reach out to your landlord, explain the situation, let them know what's going on. See if you can get reimbursed. If you can't get reimbursed for the housing that you're already living in, and you have enough money saved, you might want to consider just a little staycation and to explore your city. I know that when I was canceled, my landlord was so kind and she gave me back 2 months of rent. And I left Seattle, but I actually ended up doing a big road trip in my home state of Nebraska, which doesn't seem that exciting. But Nebraska does have some cool things to offer, so don't knock it until you go there and see for yourself. This brings me to making sure that you have an emergency savings account. I mean, you want an emergency savings for a number of reasons, but one of them being if your contract were to be canceled. When you're starting out, it can be a little bit harder to save money. But when I was a travel nurse, I made sure to save 20% of every single paycheck that I received. And I put that into a savings account that I did not touch. That was just for emergencies. So I would encourage you to try something like this. You can open a high yield savings account and earn some money back on that. And then whatever money you earn at the end of the year, you can consider that to be your emergency savings fund. But I think that having an emergency fund for at least 3 months is a smart idea. And then I mentioned earlier in this video, try not to take it personally. It can be really devastating and a blow to your ego to get canceled from your assignment. I think people that aren't in this world of travel nursing, if you were to say, "Oh, my assignment was canceled," they might inherently think like, "Oh, you were fired. What's wrong with you? What did you do wrong?" That is not the case in this world. Of course, you can get fired for things you do wrong, but more often than not, this is something that has happened that is completely out of your control and it has nothing to do with your capabilities as a nurse or a person. So try not to take it personally. I'm curious if you've ever had a travel nurse assignment canceled and what you did about it. Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and you want to stay up to date on more things in travel nursing and travel nursing, make sure to subscribe. Okay, bye guys.